Hello and welcome to episode 10 of FPL Journey to 10K, the series and podcast that looks to turn us good, active engaged managers into some of the best in the world. Not just using the data that's available, but also using the mentorship and guidance from one of the best players to ever play the game. That is, of course, FPL Corbs, my co-host, Mr. Matt Corbidge. How are you, Matt? How was your week?
Easy, my friend. Yeah, very good, very good. Tough one from an FPL point of view, but that's the story of the season so far. But yeah, it's fun, and obviously, I think the title of this episode gives it away a little bit. Having some fun ahead of next game week, so I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. What about yourself?
Yeah, same. It's tough. 4 red arrows in a row, unless Morris comes out with 5 goals tonight or something along those sort of lines. But I'm not holding my breath. But we have got 2 things to celebrate. Number one, this is episode 10. We've made double figures and we're still going. So that's a good news. We've also got another one to 200 YouTube subscribers. So it's always nice when it ends in a zero, right? So building slowly but surely, and
No, fair play, isn't
despite
it? Yeah,
our
fair play,
terrible,
everyone.
terrible starts.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Thanks to everyone, and like you said, picked a bad season to be following us, but we appreciate it.
it regardless. We very much do. But yeah, we will start with that poor week for us both. And there we are, game week 7, with Morris still to play, as the caveat there. But go on, talk us through it. How did game week 7 look for you?
Yeah, I mean, kind of where to start. I think you've outperformed me again, so fair play, mate. But yeah, I got at the moment, obviously, kind of Morris is playing. I've still got Morris and he's playing tonight, but yeah, got 37 points at the moment for a game week rank of 7.1 million. That gives me an overall rank of just under 5 million. So I thought like at these really low ranks, it'd be green arrows was easy to come by, but yeah, man, was I wrong. But yeah, where to start? I mean, Pickford is Pickford. He got 1 point. Trippier, I mean, you know, kind of like rare positive. I got rid of Chilwell and Jackson for Trippier and Morris. Morris has scored and Trippier got his 12 pointer. So that's a positive. So that's a win. That's a rare win in this season. But yeah, elsewhere in defence, Stupinan, you know, what's he got? A -2 with his own goal. Ruben Diaz also conceded an own goal. And Bomo kind of like blanked. I think he could have and should have probably got a penalty. I don't know if you saw that kind of clash with Visser and the keeper. I mean, if that's not a penalty, I don't know what is. Bruno Fernandes, again, there was some borderline penalty decisions there that Fernandes could have got. Sterling was he had a virus apparently, was dropped and came on for 20 minutes and got a yellow card for 0 points. Thacker got his point, he got his 9 points, great, but he decided to volunteer 2 penalties. I mean, what can you do there? That could have been like an all-time haul. Yeah, he kind of gives it to Havertz and Odegaard. Rashford is Rashford, another blank. Morris kind of happy with his kind of goal in the first game, and we'll see what happens tonight. Then Haaland captaincy blank. So yeah, not really good. I mean, everything that could go wrong kind of went wrong. So yeah, you just got to laugh it off. But yeah, like 2 own goals and all those blanks. Yeah, not great. Not great.
Yeah, so I suffered with the 2 own goals, annoyingly, for the second time in 3 game weeks after Pickford and Cash got own goals a couple of weeks ago for me. Not having much luck with the defence, other than when a lot of my points came from this week. My main man, Matty Cash, getting in 6 points, which was pretty good. Is it 6? I can't even see. I'm blind to it. It is 6. I thought it was a 6. I need some glasses. So he did me well at the back. And then Alvarez, who I bought in last week as part of that double change, of course, he got me 1 point last week, but got an 8 this week. Got the goal for City in their 2 on defeats, but also got 2 of the bonus points. So you're shaking your head when I mentioned Alvarez?
Yeah, well, I was thinking how you've actually outscored me, given I've got Trippier in,
Yeah,
but like is Alvarez,
that's
of
it.
course, and like
Alvarez
yeah,
and beating Cash.
I mean, there's a debate whether he's getting like lucky or whether he's the best finisher that we've ever seen in the game. I mean, I guess how
With that one.
showed he's a good player, but yeah, kind of like my showed where my view is getting kind of lucky. But obviously scored a screamer from the free kick. But I think his expected goal involvement was what 0.2. So
I'll take it. I'll take it.
I'm just hoping all this kind of luck is like front ended and it kind of balances itself out. It never does, but good goal by him.
Yeah, I mean, it still ended on a bad week. 6.5 million in the world. Another red arrow, 4 in a row, dropping me to 2.67 million overall. Nice round 400 points until Morris's points comes on the board. That's what I aim for. I aim for 400 on the nose, just like I aimed for 300 on the nose a couple of weeks ago.
I like it. I should probably just to be about 400 points next week then. So I'm a nice 28 behind you.
I get there.
28 points behind the 2.67 million rank. Good times.
Yeah. But we don't, the title, as you say, the title gives it away. We don't need to concentrate too much on game week 7 because we're going to move very much quickly onto game week 8. But there are some talking points to look at from game week 7. Morris has delivered for those that had the guts to captain him. Obviously, we didn't. Have you seen many people that did in your leagues or in the community?
Not in the leagues. On Twitter, you saw a few people, particularly those ones that really take some of the model stuff literally. Do you know what I mean? Those ones who look at things like transfer algorithm and FPL review, really maybe follow that to the letter. A few of those guys kind of captain him and like get fair play. I think both of us considered that, but like kind of like thought Haaland has just got that higher ceiling. But Morris had that lower floor, right? He was going to get 4 points anyway, and he's the focal point of the Luton attack. So kind of good move there. Brave decision that's kind of come off. So fair play.
Yeah, I got reminded by Kyrie Irving, one of our listeners, messaged me when I post on my team, a lock team, about how I said a couple of weeks ago I would captain Morris, definitely. I don't recall that, but I'll take his word for it. And maybe I should have done, but there you go. We live and learn. I couldn't go against Haaland. That was the problem. Already noted as well, 2 own goals for me in 3 game weeks. Always great. But Son obviously delivered against Liverpool. Another goal for him. Is he becoming a must?
I think in the number 9 role, he's kind of looking very good, isn't he? He's looking very good. And like I mean, obviously we're both wildcarding now, which is like we've done that independently rather than like me copying you or you copying me. But like I think Son was in my I don't know if he was in your transfer plans, but if I hadn't wildcarded, I would move Saka to Son anyway in game week 8 as well. So I was kind of targeting the kind of Luton game, but Spurs have a nice little run, and he's looking great, isn't he? He is looking great.
He is. He's looking very good, and for that Luton fixture next, I think he would have had to have come in, him or Maddison.
People say about the low block, when people would be like, "Oh yeah, Luton will be defensive, and then Son won't be catching them on the break." But people do say that, don't they? That someone like Liverpool is the best type of team for Son to play, where there's a bit more space in behind. Wow. So it's interesting theory, right?
Yeah, because I mean, appreciate Son went off early, but when Liverpool went down to even 9 men in that game, Tottenham struggled to break them down. Obviously, they got the win with an own goal. They just struggled to create chances. They were better when Liverpool had 10 men and were playing a bit of a defensive block, but against 9, when it was pure defense from Liverpool, Spurs struggled. But again, Son had probably been taken off the pitch at that point, so it's hard to judge Son against a team against it.
And it is interesting though, isn't it? It's like Son is getting less minutes, whether he's like partially injured or kind of whatever. Maddison seems to be getting like a lot more minutes, and I guess an interesting debate moving forward is, can Maddison cover his points? I don't like that term, covering points, but like, given Spurs' fixtures, are they games that are more suited to Maddison? And with the extra minutes that he's got on the 20 extra minutes he may be playing every game, can he match or outscore Son? I think that's an interesting point of debate, because that extra, 1.3 million, that can make a difference. That can make a difference. So that's something I haven't really considered, but think it's worth a debate or a
No.
bit of analysis, like looking into that.
Yeah, well, that we will do, but we're gonna jump into something early doors. My favorite part of the week: questions for Matt. We're going in early because I appreciate we usually get to about an hour quite quickly on this podcast. So I thought if we jump in early, we can then
Yeah.
get plenty of time to talk about our drafts and so on and so forth. But wildcard special questions. So I've got a few for you, which I think I'd just be interesting to hear. So as I said at the beginning of this is all about learning from yourself. One of the best of I know you always get embarrassed when I say this sort of stuff, but one of the best players of this game that there's ever been. You're number 6 in the world currently ranked. Um, so understanding why you've decided to play the wild card this week, I think
Hmm.
would be really relevant because you were looking at playing it next game week. So what's brought it forward?
Yeah. I mean, I was targeting the window game week. Yeah, probably game week 8 to game week 10 was the window where I seen like the fixture swings. Like we said before, in it's like fixture swings are what we kind of target, where there's like a lot of teams that go on nice runs, and the players that the teams you're already invested in, they start having like more difficult fixtures. That's like a real optimal time to play a wild card. Why did I change my plans? I think Chelsea was a part of it, right? So I was planning to hold Chelsea until game week 8. I think they got Burnley next week, I believe.
Yeah.
And like Chelsea again, like I mean, like I think we were both all in on Chelsea. That was an okay decision at the time, given the fixtures and the players. And I think we were discussing a chat before, like whilst we were setting up, right, that from an expected goals point of view, and like take or leave it that metric. I think it's a strong indicator of stuff. They've won every single game. That's the only team in the league. They've won every single game from an expected goals point of view, right? So they are a good team, right? And it's really bad luck, but yeah, obviously, like I've jumped off like a lot of people. I've jumped off Jackson. I've jumped off Chilwell, really. So I'm not vested in Chelsea anymore. Sterling may not play. That's new info before I pulled the trigger on the wild card, but it helps validate that as well. So there's no need to be vested in Chelsea. I think that's a kind of a big part of the story. There's other teams that are starting like really nice fixture runs. Villa, Liverpool, Spurs, right? I've only got one Spurs player at the moment, which is Udogie, right? So with one transfer, I can get in a Son or a Madison, but I think you kind of want to be, most people want to be kind of like, going for 3 players there. I've got Morris in my team as that kind of punt, that double game week punt. I don't really want to be holding him for a couple of weeks. Do you know what I mean? He could be okay. I mean, he starts every game. He's on pens, but I'd be annoyed seeing Morris in my team. He's got Spurs away next week. I wanted to get rid of Morris for sure, because my original plans were keeping Jackson, right?
Yeah.
I'm moving Mbama. I had enough money in the bank to move Mbama to like Morris, right? So I would still have Jackson kind of coming in theory for a decent game. But yeah, I'd have to be starting kind of Morris game week 8, game week 9. I'd probably would wild card by game week 10. So yeah, there was enough moves really. So it's like the Chelsea swing. There was a big enough fixture swing for the teams I was kind of picking. That seems interesting. And then we're just like underlying issues. There was like the Pickford piece, the Morris piece, right? The Sterling piece. So yeah, that kind of made me pull it. And I was kind of quite closely considering wildcarding last game week as well. I think on Twitter I posted, hey, what team scores better? And I think the wildcard option would have like significantly outscored it. It's probably a good decision I didn't do it because I had the likes of Botman there. But I was close to pulling it last week, and I think those missed points as well, that's kind of playing on my mind. And it's not the leading factor, but I'm getting like bloody frustrated with some players. Do you know what I mean? Like there was like Rashford in my team. Well, that could come. That's quite critical. If a wild card works or doesn't work, it really depends on whether United do great in the next 2 games. They got Brentford this weekend, and then they got Sheffield United the following game week, right? So they could go big against Sheffield United, and we look really foolish, right? Now, some people may want to keep a Manchester United player, but yeah, they were. It could backfire, like, but I was getting a bit tired and bored with some of those teams. I think we're getting enough info to say what teams are looking good and what teams are looking average. So yeah, there's a few different factors, and I kind of weighed it up on my game week 9 wildcard and my game week 10 wildcard teams. They wouldn't be very different.
Yeah.
And I'm struggling to fit in all the players I want now. Like budget did come into play. Like I pulled the trigger, I think like Saturday evening or something like that. I was kind of like, I'm pulling that kind of trigger, and like I caught a few kind of price rises, which is nice. I couldn't see a massive amount of difference to the players that I was targeting. But you were always game week 8, weren't you?
Yeah. I get it. Similar, just basically what you said at the end there. I looked at who would I get in if I was playing it in the international break, and then kind of made a bit of a squad with those players, and then looked at the game week, game week 8, and was like, well, pretty much every single one of the players I want in there are one in game week 8 as well. So apart from the Chelsea players, but then looking at Chelsea's results, I'm not interested. Oh yeah, I always had it in my head I was going to play it this week, and I'll show you why I definitely am, and I've pulled the trigger as well, and luckily caught the price rises of people like Watkins already. But
Yep.
you'll see, I've got a screen showing my team before I pulled the trigger, and I just look at it and think there's about 6 changes I need to make here. So it just made absolute sense to play it now. So yeah, you touch on fixture swings, and obviously you've always said throughout this entire thing the big 2 things for you are fixtures and form, which is why you're not too bothered against United, because obviously their form's not been very good at all. But how do you go about building your wildcard squad? So obviously you mentioned form already, sorry, fixtures already, but is there something else you consider, like price points, or how do you begin?
Well, price points is an interesting one because I never really take notice of kind of prices, but like because I've had such a bad start to the season, I've never had this. My team value is atrocious, right? So I think when I pulled the wildcard button, my team value. So if you like get rid of all your players, like cancel them out as if you transfer them. So my raw team value was 99.2. So I lost 0.8 million somehow. So a really poor team kind of like value. So yeah, I'm gonna have to make sacrifices all over, and I'm probably not going to be able to get an ideal squad, assemble it. So price points, I don't really care too much, but I'm going to have to kind of really hustle to get a decent squad together. I mean, biggest things. What was the question again? Like, what do I take into account when I'm assembling a squad?
Yeah, like I would say, how do you build it? What do you start with? Where do you begin? Do you like a position, or do you just go right? I definitely want ABC.
Yeah,
Work
like
the rest out.
I look at the fixtures, like the medium to long term fixtures, next 5 to 6 game weeks. Look at the players that are the teams that are good, good teams with good fixtures. So I'm not picking like a Sheffield United because they got a good fixture run. I don't think they do, but I don't say that literally. It's like if you got a good team with good fixtures, then I'm going to think, okay, those teams, those squads are going to on the basis of my team. Then I form like, who's the view of like the players from those teams that I really want to be targeting, looking at things like underlying stats and data and their kind of like performances kind of recently. Like really look at taking a data lens on that, and then kind of take it from there really, and form a view of like those non-negotiables. And then normally there'll be you'll have your skeleton of team of like these good players from good teams that you just want with good fixtures ideally, and then you'll have those players around the edges, and like you'll form a view of like whether you want to go deep. So do you want like a big squad, right? Or are you going to go invest your money in the kind of first 11, and do you want some bench fodder that may or may not play at all? And then fill in. There'll be 3 or 4 starting positions where you just fill in with filler players, right? And then you form a view of like, okay, who are the cheaper players from the teams with good fixtures, and then put them in. So a little bit of method like to the madness, but I think nothing too surprising there. Probably it's probably similar to what you do, is it?
Yeah, similar. It's like it'll be a case of So I was just seeing if Morris had scored, and he hasn't. So
I,
yeah,
I
exactly
think I'm
that.
okay with that, to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah. We'll be. He's already got the one goal, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah. So I'm very much fixtures. Look at the teams. Then I did this at the beginning of the season, and you'll see that I've done it again when I explain who's in the draft and why. But I'll basically look at the fixtures and try and have not a perfect 11, but for the next at least 4 or 5 game weeks, probably up until now, game week 13, I want the players in my team that I'm happy with the starting 11 every single game week.
Yeah, yeah.
So I did this with Cash early doors. I was like, I need a defender that's going to cover me in game week 2 and 5. And Matty Cash had great fixtures, so I bought him in. Worked wonders because he's in one of those games. In fact, it wasn't even one of those games he got his brace. It was game week 3. But the point I make is he was bought in to cover 2 game weeks. So I'll get in. Yeah, those players I'm definitely after. So no surprises here. Haaland, Salah, Son, they're in the list. And then it's which other teams have got great fixtures that I can bring players in? And then with the fringe players, it's okay, who can now fill a gap for certain game weeks, and then I'll stick
Yeah.
them in the team. So that's probably a bit of a different way I take it. So I don't like having bench fodder at all. I want all 15 players. I mean, I'll get cheap players in, like Archer, but I want all 15 players going forward to be playing 70 plus minutes every game.
I think everyone wants that, right? But it's just whether you can afford it and what sacrifice you can make. I mean, I went in first time ever. Really, I went in really heavy game week 1 this year with a big bench that includes James and like kind of like due to luck you can't predict injuries like what happened with like Reece James for me, but yeah, it kind of backfired a little bit. So I'm less fussed on that. I think like long-term plan is important. You want like security of these players, but it's the majority of the players, right? If you can have some fun, kind of have a bit of risk kind of around the edges, because there are these things called transfers, right? Some people think the wild card is the be or end, or you can change your team massively with 2 free transfers, right? So
Yeah.
I think consider the long term, but like definitely kind of like look short term as well. Like you want a short term kind of impact of your team the next 3 game weeks, and then if it's not working, hey, if you wild carded it right, you should have 2 free transfers to kind of like burn and kind of readjust your team. So I think don't overthink it. But I think what you were saying, what I was saying, really the structure that you apply, you don't have to be too rigid. You don't have to say 2 premium strikers, 1 bench fodder, 1
Yeah.
premium midfield, blah 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 blah. You just kind of adapt to the situation. But the team and structure you play is kind of really. Let's just think of the reasons why you wildcarded and just like take it back from there.
Yeah.
Like one of the reasons
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
wildcarded was, hey, there's some interesting players. So like those interesting players, I really want to put them into my team because
Yeah.
they were a factor when I was yeah, considering pressing that button. Yeah, not
Do
too
you build
dissimilar to
multiple
yours.
drafts?
What's that?
Do you build like multiple drafts? Do you play like if your phone's anything like mine, you'll have screenshot after screenshot after screenshot of different teams,
Yeah, no,
and then look at for throughout the week.
yeah, of course, like it's part and parcel, isn't it? That really helps with us from like a structure point of view, right? And then you see a team that feels like it passes the sniff test. If it passes the sniff test, then you can plan a little bit more detail, right? You can look at, is it a great 11 every game week? Do I have to do some rotation around the edges and whatnot? Are there players of non-ideal kind of game weeks, that sort of stuff? So, yeah, I think I've probably got 3 drafts at the moment, which I quite like. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a player who we'll go into detail in a minute. There's a player that could be injured but hasn't been confirmed yet. So my drafts may change a little bit, but yeah, I've got my kind of camera rolls like full of different options and stuff. Like,
Screenshots.
so.
Good. It's not just my phone. That's good. It's like
No, it's like
we-
this. You scroll, it's got that little fucking green
yeah,
picture. Like,
tinned.
yeah,
Do you pay
like
any
mine.
attention to obviously the community on when people are wildcarding the community, especially on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it? There's draft after draft after draft. Do you pay any attention to that just to get some ideas? I appreciate you'll never copy anybody because why would you? But do you pay any attention to get ideas that maybe you've not thought about before?
Yeah, I think you'd be very arrogant if you said no. But I could be arrogant and say no because I think I know better. But I don't because I'm not doing as well as kind of
Unless
many people.
unless you're following the 5 that are above you in the world, you are better. Don't sell yourself short.
I mean, yeah, like I mean, yeah, but like you would be very arrogant and say, "Hey, I don't look out for things." So like, I'm not going to copy anyone, but if I see someone post a team, I'm like, "Oh, that tickles my fancy." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's Oh, and I'll say that slower. Do you know what I mean? That's just that's just me.
Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that comment and like I'm not taking the mic. I need to speak
No.
more clearly. That I can see how that's confusing, right? Like shoving all those words into one. But yeah, if something looks like quite interesting, I'll consider that for sure. So like, of course, you'll be like somewhat influenced. I'm not copying, but um yeah, I kind of keep an eye on it, right, and see if there's anything particularly interesting. So yeah, of course. Like I think normally after a day or two, everyone's teams kind of like converge because like, and that's not group think. That's just generally sensible thinking kind of converges.
Mhm.
So yeah, I kind of like when I do look, I do take it into account, of course.
Yeah,
Um,
got you. So your big 3 then, your big 3 takeaways when you're building this squad. Form, get my form in the picture. Fixtures, there's the second.
I don't think form, mate. And
No,
no,
straight up
I mean
fixtures.
like yeah, fiction because you're predicting the forward view, right? So you're thinking of what's going to create form. Like what's happening at the
Okay.
moment don't really matter. So it'll be um fixtures, yeah, fixtures is super important.
Yeah,
It'll be
fixtures,
underlying
fixtures, fixtures.
data of players and teams, like how they've
Yeah.
performed so far, and then you applying a bit of a lens in terms of how that can be applied to the upcoming games. Um, that's just two things, though, isn't it? Um,
And you can don't have to give me 3. I just, 3's always nice, but if they're the 2, they're the 2. Focus
well,
more on them than the
no, I
third
think
one.
it's maybe that, and then because you're looking at a bit of a forward view, aren't you? Like, and you only really have a one. You can only use this twice a season. You do look at the rotation with risks and security. You add a bit of emphasis around that. So I think if you do want 3, I think it's probably
Yeah.
that lens. And I'm gonna when I do my draft, I'm gonna contradict myself on that because I'm picking some major rotation risks, but
Well, we're
that's
nearly
part of the
there.
fun, right?
We're nearly at the wild cards, but we always have to throw in the fixtures and how we look with that. So this is forward view from game week 8 to game week 17. And as you'll see, the players the teams that you spoke about, those fixture swings for, you mentioned Villa, top of the shop. You mentioned
Mhm.
Tottenham, second. You mentioned Liverpool, their third. So when you were building your wild card team, I'm assuming they're the 3 teams you look straight at.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, kind of Villa, Spurs, Liverpool, like they'll be all over that. So like, yeah, that's kind of like reassuring looking at that. I think yeah, United are the curveball, right? Because they've got well, they got good, very short term fixtures, then have the difficult game against City on game week 10, but then have a nice run again. So that's the kind of risk, but I think we're both happy to go there. A lot of other people are happy to go there, getting frustrated. I think Rashford seems a bit of a
You
write off at the
yeah.
moment. I think Bruno is the risk, but hopefully the kind of players you bring in have got enough kind of value. They're at the bottom of the players we're getting rid of, right?
Yeah.
Chelsea, City, Arsenal. I'm quite surprised at that fixture ticker. Actually, for some reason, I thought that they had like really good. I mean, looking at Arsenal is a very it's kind
Very
of
even, right?
spiking
So
it,
game
goes
week
up and down, right? So you got Sheffield United at
yeah,
home, best game arguably, then your Newcastle away, one of the toughest, probably the second
Burnley.
toughest game that they got. Then it's Burnley at home, so it's very like up and down, right? So I think if you can time that rotation kind of piece with your team, then Arsenal could be good. But yeah, City are tough. I mean, no Haaland is a debate. Arsenal tough game, Brighton at home. Could be okay from an attacking point of view. United away, somewhat tough. Bournemouth at home. Yeah, they could do good. Could destroy all those teams, to be fair. But yeah, like I mean, you can see there's the justification, and like you said, the teams to target at the top of that fixture ticket game week 8 to 17, and this is a super long term view, so I'd probably compress it a little bit, but similar trend. Yeah, Villa, Spurs, Liverpool, Newcastle to a lesser extent. Yeah.
And then this, I suppose I've gone long term because, as I mentioned, I kind of look at having a strong 11. I've done 2 drafts, so you'll see them both. One I've focused on it this a bit less, but try to get a good 11 every week for 13 up to about game week 13. So
yeah,
kind of looking longer after the Liverpool and City game. I love Brighton, Fulham, Everton, Sheffield United, Notts Forest, and Chelsea. I think that's great fixtures for Brighton.
I agree, but you also have transfers, don't you?
Yeah. Exactly. No, I can't do. Once the wild card's done, I'm done for the season. No. Yeah, and I think I've started again. Not to go into too much detail, but I've got players in that have a nice 8 and 9, or a reasonable 8 and 9, that I can then very quickly move to a Brighton midfielder or even a West Ham midfielder with the fixtures they've coming up: Everton, Brentford, Forest, Burnley, Palace.
I think that's a really good point as well. Like, so I think some people are like really bloody minded that they're going to use game week 10, and game week 10 is a nice fixture swing, and I think people may be jumping off Manchester United players there, but they got a tough game week 10, but then they have decent fixtures game week 11 to 13, Fulham, Luton, Everton. So will you really be jumping off? But there's transfers like they can say, hey, you won't be able to have the Brighton players or the West Ham players. You could kind of have some of those guys if you got kind of like rotation, kind of like going throughout your squad, but also 2 free transfers to bring in it. You can bring in the Stupinan and Mitoma for that quite easily, right? They're very accessible. So yeah, I think there's enough flex to cover that game week 10 wildcard that like a few people are lining up for sure. So I agree. West Ham and Brighton are nice teams to target in a couple of game weeks for sure.
Yeah. Well, we'll stop teasing the audience. Let's move on to Matt's wildcard draft 1. So you mentioned this as your preferred draft. So yeah, talk us through it.
Yeah. So Frankie, who does he even play for? Is that Burnley kit?
Could that be any 3.9 billion keeper, basically?
Yeah, I mean, if you can get down to 3.8, that would make a big difference. But again, this team has partly been driven by a really poor squad value, but I think sometimes interesting options emerge. So goalkeeper super cheap, Franchi, who's a 3.9, I think, from Burnley. That's what the kit looks like, but it could be any 3.9. And Areola is a 4.2 as a set and forget. So West Ham have solid fixtures long term. It looks like he's nailed down that position. They're looking okay from a defensive point of view. I'll be very kind of happy just keeping that and keeping him there. I know a lot of people consider him Raya, which is interesting when Arsenal's fixtures turn, and he looks like he's nailed down that spot and could have a propensity for bonus points, right? Because of how he distributes the ball. Fair play. I just don't have that luxury. Like, I don't have that luxury with my kind of budget. Defense, I've got Cash, got Gabriel. So back to Gabriel, who he started off with that bad season. Yeah. I kind of sold him game week 4, game week 5. I think I sold him. So yeah,
he started every game since.
Yeah, and it's like 2 clean sheets in 3, right? So I think since I've got rid of him. So yeah, Gabriel price point. I think Arsenal has got some nice fixtures that he can rotate in. Double Spurs defense, so Pedro Porro and Udogi, and then Lamptey is a bench fodder player. So ideally, someone will drop, because I've got no money in the bank for this draft. But so ideally, someone will drop to 3.8, or one of the starting 4.0 defenders like drops down to 3.9. I'd prefer to have someone who can at least kind of like get a point or two when I need them to. But I've got Lamptey. Then I've got Chucky from Chelsea is a bench fodder mid, so won't play very much games, but he's super cheap. So there, from a cheap, kind of like a cheap price point of view, the midfield is Eze, Salah, Diaby, and Son. I do believe Eze. There's rumors of Eze being injured, which is pretty frustrating because Eze's dropped down to 6.2, and I think is the best asset below 6.5. So he was quite important for these drafts. I mean, an alternative to Eze could be up. Yeah, I'm kind of really hope that that these are just rumors because like Eze makes a difference. Palace got some good fixtures.
Yeah.
He's nailed. He's on pens in every set piece. He's been. I love an XG underperformer, right? He's been up there with Jackson and Chilwell as and Bruno as a XG underperformer. So I like Eze, but if he is out, I really hope he isn't. But if he is out, I could look at Ward Prowse, who is 0.1 more expensive. I could look at this is making it really difficult now. A Gordon, 5.6. Obviously, he's banned next game, but then he can kind of come in after that. That's fine. So you missed the West Ham game. Neto from Wolves could be interesting, but it's kind of like thin pickings, really. So like I may have to change my draft around if kind of like Eze is out. But like gone heavy in the midfield. Could get rid of Son and put Madison in there, and then have extra money for an upgrade instead of Eze. That should be a viable option too. Maybe put a Bowen in there. But up front, this is where I get excited. I love it. So,
I can see the smile.
Keeping Haaland, Watkins, of course, who I think everyone was really considering anyway. So it's a shame he got his 23 points last game week and massively outperformed his stats. But with the fixtures and his ability, like decent underlying stats, I think he's like returned every single game bar one this year. So he's chipped away. Did you start with Watkins?
I did. Yeah. He got me a couple of assists early doors.
Getting rid of him for
Jackson.
Bit of a mistake there. But anyway, and then the kind of wild card and a big reason why I'm doing it. I want to go hard on Liverpool. I think Liverpool have been excellent, and it's really hard to fit them in. So it's like, who do you go? Do you go Diaz? No, not really. He's kind of a bit expensive, and there's other midfield options. Darwin is someone I'm super excited for. Like, I'm kind of all ready to get burned by him, but like his expected goals per 90 is incredible. It's better than Haaland's. It's better than anyone's in the leagues. Gakpo's injured for a couple of weeks, so like he should start next game when he's playing like Brighton, who are very leaky at the back. Long term, I know he's typically been benched after international breaks. I haven't gone to South America, Uruguay, right? But whatever, that's kind of one game, right? And then he's got a really nice run. I'm really confident. Like, it'd be interesting to get your view as a Liverpool fan. I'm very confident that Liverpool are going to go hard for the league, right? Because there's a bit of a title race now, right? They're in it, and Salah, Darwin, and Diaz. That's their best front three. I'm pretty sure on that. I mean, what are your views?
So we're only 2 points off City.
Yeah.
So I think Europa League's not really where we want to be. And if the last fixture's anything to go by, he'll probably play some more of the bench options. So, for example, he'll play Tsimikas, not Robertson. He'll play Kelleher, not Allison. So he'll play the more fringe players because, absolutely. The first and foremost, we need to get back in the Champions League. But 2 points behind City with this nice fixture run coming up, I think he'll absolutely push for it. Whether Darwin is seen in the best 11 is a different story. So Salah, no question. Salah's the main man on the right. Diaz is without a question the main man on the left. Darwin has got Gakpo, but rightfully, as you say, he's picked up a bit of a knock. But he's also got Diogo Jota. Now he will miss a game because of his red card. So Darwin's going to start against Brighton, no question. But then Jota's back, and Jota's stats Like, as a Liverpool fan, if I see Jota up front, I don't go, "Oh, for God's sake, where's Darwin Núñez?" Because Jota is a class player, knows where the net is. I'm not convinced he'll get as many minutes as you hope he will, but I might be wrong. As a Liverpool fan, I also want to see Darwin Núñez's name on the team sheet, think this guy causes absolute chaos, and I love watching him, and he gets chance after chance. I'm not helping you at all there, mate, at all, but
I really want Núñez, but I know deep down it's stupid. So, and it's really compromising my wider team. So, in this draft I got here, Eze, we've said he's a bit of a glue player, like because of his cheap price, but he's probably injured. I could go Darwin down to Solanke, right?
yeah.
An ex-Liverpool favourite, right? But I don't know if he
Can't believe we sold him.
even got a game, but Bournemouth got some a good run, and like Solanke is solid, right? He will nick a goal. He's on penalties. He's good for 10 to 15 goals a year, right? And he could go on a kind of run. I could get Solanke in for Darwin, save 0.9, and then that Eze can become a Bowen. So yeah. I quite like the sound of that. Or kind of, what's the price of Diaz? What's the price of Diaz? I mean,
7.5, I think.
Ooh, maybe a little bit too expensive. Then, but like, I need to check the stats as well. Like Diaz's underlying stats, I've always got in my mind he's not the Gakpo's levels of kind of just not really finishing and not being on the end of things. But like, I got in my mind that Diaz, he's not clinical. He's not getting expected goals or expected assists. But it's probably worth looking in, like, because I kind of really do want to. I don't want to wild cards with Liverpool's fixtures and just have Salah.
Just have Salah.
Diaz
is 7.5.
Okay.
In comparison, so Diaz's expected goals 2.3, Gakpo's is only 2. His expected assists 0.9. Gakpo's is only 0.2. But then you look at Darwin Núñez, expected goals 2.8, so better than Diaz, but his expected assists are 0.4, so Diaz is 0.5 ahead of him. I'd also be daft of me not to bring up the fact that Diaz scored a legitimate goal at the weekend that was ruled off for offside when it clearly wasn't offside. And that would have obviously added to his statistics of expected goal data. I'm assuming you saw the news.
What's that?
You look confused. Maybe you didn't see Diaz's offside goal.
Yeah. Cool. Let it go. Let it go.
I've let it go. But Diaz, the point I'm making there is Diaz's stats are better than Gakpo's. So if you're looking for if you're looking for a second, Diaz is more assured of a start because he's our best left winger, and his stats rival Darwin. He's also only 0.1 million more.
I mean, the issue you got with the stats there is that they are absolute stats. So if you look at the per 90 ones, Darwin would be doubling his.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's the risk that you're playing, is like you're gambling on Darwin playing games. But yeah, Darwin, I think Diaz, could be an option to my team, which I think I'll consider. But yeah, at the moment, this is my preferred draft. I think I'm gonna have to scrumple it up because of Eze's injury, and that may require some surgery because I can't afford Ward-Prowse even like this. This is maxed out on my budget, so I can't. Ward-Prowse I'd be okay with, but like I can't afford him. And then I think the drop down to a Neto or a Gordon or someone along those lines, or Billing even, like a bit of a spoiler there for Billing from Bournemouth. I'm not a huge fan, so like as much as I want to do this one, I may not be able to do it just because Eze was like probably the key enabler there. But I kind of really want Darwin in my team. But hey, this is kind of where I'm at the moment.
Hey,
so
look,
I think it's a cool team.
I would love it if you have Darwin in your team, and he absolutely bangs because I love him as a player. Now, this was your second draft, so this was looking more at getting, rather than the 2 Tottenham defenders, getting the 2 Tottenham attackers.
Yeah. So I think this one is what I call like the balanced team, right? And probably it'll be along the lines of this template that a lot of people land on because it's quite flexible, quite balanced. So 3-5-2 would be the position. So this has been driven by my budget really, but like I'd have Turner or a bench fodder keeper, Areola again. I'd have cash. I'd have 9 million ish to spend between 2 defenders, right? So that could be a Burn and a Pau Torres, for example. I think those would be kind of two good bets there. Udogi and Kabore, right? So Kabore got the benefits that he's actually starting a midfield, and I'd be looking to play this midfield most game weeks. Diaby, Eze again. So yeah, there's that Eze conundrum that he may have to be kind of replaced with someone, but I think there's enough money that I can claw back on this to kind of upgrade him to Ward-Prowse or Matoma. Even I could probably stretch to if I got rid of downgraded Kabore and downgraded Turner. But yeah, Eze or insert replacement around that price point. Salah, who's a non-negotiable. Maddison, Son, Watkins up front with Mbama as a bench fodder, and then Haaland. So I mean, it looks like a kind of cool team. And like, yeah, Maddison Song could kind of bang and could be a better approach than the double Spurs attack of my preferred draft. But like, yeah, it doesn't have Darwin. It doesn't have Darwin.
Yeah.
So,
I was going to say, I was looking at it thinking, what's this missing? Because you've obviously then only got one bench fodder, not two.
Yeah.
But what's it missing? But yeah, it's Darwin. It's the Darwin Núñez factor.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's worth bringing him in actually, like, because he's going to be bench game week 9 because he's coming back from an international break. So all signs point towards it being stupid, but it's fun.
But he'll play. He will play this week because he's going to. I mean, he has to because there's no Gakpo, there's no Jota.
He's got a bone issue, right? Doesn't he have a bone issue? That was why he didn't make this game week kind of thing. So that could be nothing, or it could be something quite serious, like that he's like managing this like knee bone issue. But like, yeah, this is the balanced draft, and I think a lot of people will like probably land on something similar to that because it's like really obvious. People will jump on Maddison and Son, I think, and then that kind of and Salah as well. It kind of like a lot of the other players kind of pick themselves, so doesn't excite me as much. But I could land on a variant of this, I suppose.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's
see what happens with Eze. But then your last draft, you were just playing about with a no Haaland.
So this team again, Turner, Arriola, like consistent, kind of like not put any money in keepers. I think Arriola, I think is a bit of a gift. So very happy with that. And then I was thinking to myself where to spend the money really. So kind of that you can land on quite an interesting team, right? And City do have more tougher fixtures. It looks all right, actually. It looks all right, but I guess you'll have a benching dilemma most game weeks. But yeah, reading out the team, big in defense, right? So you got Cash, you got Trent, you've got Trippier, you got Udogi, and then you got Kabore as he'll be a perma bench kind of player. But like you got like a real solid back four there: Udogi, Trippier, Trent, and Cash. Then into midfield, it's looking pretty big as well, right? So you got Diaby, Bowen, Salah, Maddison, and Son. So a similar kind of midfield to the previous one, but rather than Eze, you got Bowen, which he's a better option. Let's be honest. And then up front, you got bench fodder, which will be like a 4.4, which will be like a Mbama. Unfortunately, with my budget, I can't stretch for an Archer. Archer is the best bet of those 4.5 kind of like strikers, but I can't afford it. And then Darwin and kind of Watkins. So I guess this team looks quite cool because the teams with the best fixtures, Spurs, Liverpool, and Villa, it goes all in on them. It has interesting players, probably the best players in their teams. I mean, Udogi, I think I've preferred Pedro Porro, but I can't stretch that. So it's kind of cool that it goes in hard on those teams and then has like the only players outside of those teams is Bowen and Trippier, who are like really good as well. So it looks really good. And like what you're getting in this one over previous drafts is you're getting Trent and Trippier really. So probably the best two attacking defenders in the game. I mean, I'll caveat Trent hasn't really proved anything this year so far, right? But you'd hope he starts creating kind of some stuff. But obviously the dilemma is here. It doesn't have Haaland, who plays every game, plays a lot of minutes in every game, and has outstanding stats and outstanding numbers, really. So that's the glaring issue.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it looks great.
Did you ever see yourself playing without Haaland?
Yeah. I mean, like it looks quite good, this team.
Yeah. Not against
I
him.
think I think Darwin could like with the fixtures. I think if Darwin matched Haaland's minutes of the next 5 or 6, I think he would outscore him.
Oh, what as the non-Liverpool fan saying that, you're brave.
But yeah,
But
he's not going to get the same
yeah,
minutes, is he? He's not going to get the same minutes.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, it's an option. It does look like a really nice balanced team, but the reason behind that is kind of no Haaland. But like, I mean, captaincy
yeah,
comes into play here. Who will you be captaining? And I think there is a real valid option of rotating between Son and Salah for a lot of the kind of upcoming game weeks. They have better fixtures than City, and yeah, if you're looking at City game weeks, you could like captain either Salah or Son next game week when City have Arsenal. Brighton at home, game week 9 for City is okay. However, Liverpool have Everton at home, arguably even better. And Spurs have Fulham at home, unless Leno suddenly like pulls off another incredible like
yeah.
12 like shots. Those probably better fixtures slightly. Then City have got Man United away. I know there's a lot of people are down on Man United, but it is a tougher game than Liverpool at home to Forest. It is. It's a tougher game. Then you've got Bournemouth at home, that's the risk, right? Game week 11, Bournemouth at home for Haaland. Yeah, you'd be behind the sofa time, right? But
But I mean, Salah's away at Luton.
Yeah, no. So it's an acceptable game, right? It's not. I mean, Bournemouth at home is kind of a lot better for Haaland. He could score 3 goals like he could in any game. But like, yeah, Haaland's an acceptable option. Then Man City away at Chelsea. People are saying Chelsea are shit. They're not. They're a decent outfit for sure. Who have we got there? We got Brentford at home for Liverpool. That's a bit of a comparable game, probably a little bit better because they're at home. And then you got Spurs away to Wolves. So maybe Haaland edges that one. So yeah, there's an option to rotate that captaincy. So I'm not writing it off at the moment. I'd really like to keep Haaland, but obviously, that kind of gives you a really solid team elsewhere. And like, if I'm, it sounds like I'm a bit obsessed, but if I really want Nunez and I want a bit of a safety blanket around me, this could be a nice option because I've got solid players all around. So I like that Josh as well.
Yeah. Okay. Keep us all guessing. There's no Eze in this one. Interestingly, and then also
probably why it looks better. Like because he's just a very good player for the price. But
I'll probably come on to it as well. But like in your draft 2 and your draft 1, I appreciate in draft 2 you've got 2 defender spots, but in your preferred draft, there's no Newcastle defense. Now moving on to mine. What are your thoughts there?
So Newcastle defense is good. I think they've had the easiest fixtures. You've kind of you haven't missed the boat because they're a good defense with like decent fixtures, but the best fixtures they've already had the best fixtures. It's been the last 3 game weeks. Botman is out with a suspect sounding injury. Do you know what I mean? They're saying he's got knee problems and it's very ambiguous. And like these are the things that could spiral into he's out for 6 months, like all of a sudden, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like I think Newcastle are a valid option. I think some teams have got better games.
Yeah.
And like Trippier, like everyone wants Trippier, right? Because he's the best Newcastle defender. He's scored 40 points in the last 3 game weeks. He's a fantastic option, but he's really expensive. He's really expensive.
I can't quite get to him, but I mean, So I won't go through it all because a lot of my picks are similar. But this was my wildcard going into game week 8, and I just looked at it. And I knew the fixture swing was coming, having 3 City away at Arsenal. We just went through the City fixtures. Got horrendous. I don't want 3. I've got Saka, who was potentially injured. I appreciate he's okay now. But Chilwell's out for a while. Baldock's out for a while. I've got Morris. Long-term options, upcoming fixtures, swings. Just I was looking at this team and thinking, no. I'm fed up of Turner and Pickford. I think the most any of them have got me is 2 points since I started to. I love a keeper exchange, but those two aren't it for me. So Yeah, the injuries, the City players. I want a better bench without injuries, preferably, and it just doesn't look good. So this is why I've looked at it and gone, yeah, it's time to move on. You're right. Looking at Rashford and Bruno at home to Brentford feels horrendous to sell them, but I had to because this is my preferred draft.
Ooh,
So
okay.
yeah, the thing I like about it, ignore the Gordon or red. Okay, first and foremost, I'll come on to Gordon. But the thing I like about it, my keeper exchange isn't great for game week 8, granted, but I've gone for Flecken at 4.5 and I've gone for Areola at 4.2. As I say, I like to exchange my keepers. Over the next 10 weeks, right? So this week's not great because I'm going to have to play probably Newcastle at home. But then following that, Burnley, like doing the exchange between the two, playing the one with the better fixture. I get Burnley, Everton, West Ham at home, Notts Forest, Burnley, Luton, Brighton, Sheffield United, and Wolves. 7 of the 10, I'm pretty happy with that. And the ones that are difficult, so the Newcastle game, you'd probably say is a difficult one there. Uh, Brighton, you'd probably say is a difficult one, and even West Ham. Well, 2 of them are at home, so I just like how they exchange
Yeah.
their fixtures. So that's why I've gone for that duo. I can't get rid of Matty Cash. He's the man. He's the second highest for expected goals. He's very attacking. Villa's fixtures look great, so he was always going to stay.
Is he
I've
nailed?
kept a Stupinan. I think so. I know you keep trying to talk me out of Matty Cash about players taking his position, but he started every game so far, so I've got no reason. And he's looked dangerous. He's one of their better attacking options, but he's
Yeah.
only behind
Is he the next
Watkins
Chilwell?
and
Because
Diaby.
yeah, is he a right back that's playing as right winger now and will have a bit of like rotation risk? Who knows? Is he the next Chilwell?
I hope not. I hope not. I think if they start playing somebody on the wing, they'll just drop him back to the defence. He's too good to not be in the team. Um, until I start to
I mean,
see, I can't get rid of him until I see until I see it.
I was I was
He's
I was
just getting me
hoping
too
you've
many
got like
points.
the inside. You weren't just like fanboying him, but you had like the inside knowledge, like
Oh, no, it's
insider
pure
info.
fanboy.
Like, yeah,
I'm gonna just say, like before this season, I didn't care about Matty Cash. It's this this season. Since he got that double, he's been in my dreams. Stupinan I've left him in not for
okay,
game week 8 and 9, so he's in for game week 10 and onwards when the Brighton's fixtures. The reason I've kept him in, he's by far Brighton's best defensive option. When those fixtures swing and I've got value in him. If I sell him now, I sell him at 5.1, but I have to buy him back at 5.3. He might drop to 5.2, but I'm losing value. So I'm quite happy to just leave him on the bench for the next 2 game weeks.
okay,
Um, I've done the same as you, Pedro Porro and Udogi. Just it's more for funding. I would prefer Madison, but it's just much better for the budget to go with the double defense. And Pedro Porro gets forward a lot. I'll come on
yeah,
to that when I look at draft 2, but he seems good as an attacking option. Not as good as Madison, no question, but he seems to be getting forward a lot. And then I've looked at, as I said before, I've looked at those fixtures and thought, okay, well, if I've got 2 Tottenham, 1 Villa, 1 Brighton, which game weeks am I going to struggle to field 3 good defenders, steady defenders? And Crystal Palace had nice fixtures then. So I went for Anderson, who is by far the best pick from the Palace defence. Good team, steady at the back with Hodgson. Just got a clean sheet at Old Trafford, and Anderson got the goal, so I might be late to the bandwagon.
yeah,
But there you go. He was the one that came in. Midfield, standard 3. I think most people will have here. Salah, 12.5, Son at 9.2, and then Diaby based on Villa's fixtures. And he's probably their second best attacking option behind Watkins. I'm then looking again at the fixtures. Now I've gone for Gordon as an option. He's orange, granted. Red, sorry. He's suspended for the next game, but he's away at West Ham. I don't actually want to play him in that game. He'd be on my bench anyway. I want him for the game weeks following. So
uh-huh.
Gordon is coming because he's going to be playing in week 9 Crystal Palace at home. In week 10, he's got Wolves, and in week 12, he's got Bournemouth. And they're the fixtures I'll play. In terms of 2 midfielders, he's got expected goals of 1.37, expected assists of 2. He's took 15 shots, which is more than any other 2 midfielders. So he seems like the best option from the
Yeah,
tune there. And then I needed another player to pick on those fixtures. You can tell I thought about this too much. Pick those fixtures where I'm like, I don't like that midfield. Who's got a nice fixture maybe around that? Bournemouth came up. So Bournemouth in week 8 have got Everton. Week 9 they've got Wolves. Week 10 they've got Burnley. So I thought I'll just take a little punt on a Bournemouth midfielder, and Billing looks the best one. Expected goal date is actually better than Gordon's. He's 1.41. Most of anybody in the Bournemouth midfield. He's also had 14 shots, most of any midfielder at Bournemouth. So he seemed like the sensible pick. And then up top,
What's this
Archie will sit on the
competition?
bench
What's this
between
competition?
Gordon and Billing.
You were saying Billing's the
Yeah, well,
best
he's
top
got,
Bournemouth
you know,
midfielder for
he's got
shots.
he's got those other players that Bournemouth fans can write in about. You know, those other people that play for them.
Oh,
Is
man.
Suriname still there? That shows you how long it's been since I've looked at the Bournemouth team. Yeah, up front, Archer will be pretty much on the bench every week. He's just
Yeah.
somebody that'll play, but he'll sit there for budget enabler, and then Watkins and Haaland for all the reasons you've spoke about already. But what I like about this, number one, it leaves me 1.1 million in the bank, so I can move a Billing or a Gordon on for a West Ham or a Brighton player come game week 10 and onwards. I target the Spurs and Villa fixtures with 3 from each. It allows me to get Salah in without playing the wild card. I've got no chance of getting Salah in the team, so I get him in for the start of their fixtures. But it pretty much gives me, as I've said before, it gives me 15 players that will play or start pretty much every match for their clubs, and I can rotate that defense. I can see you thinking, this is what this podcast's all about. You seeing what somebody at my level does, and then you look at it and go, "Why did you do that?" So what are you thinking?
Yeah, I kind of hate the midfield a little bit. I'm looking at Gordon and kind of Billing. I understand the logic a little bit, but I don't know whether you're over engineering it a little bit and whether it'd be just easier, whoever the person you're trying to get that saved money, just getting in them straight away.
Straight off the bat.
Yeah, I can see routes to get Bowen, who I know you wanted to get a few weeks ago and there's probably regrets you didn't get. I can see routes to potentially getting Madison, Diaz, like so yeah, it's kind of interesting that you've gone for those midfielders. And I'm thinking, what formation are you going to play most weeks, or are you going to rotate it based on fixtures?
Based on the fixtures, so it'll be 4-4-2 or 3-5-2 based on the fixtures.
Okay. I think it works. I mean, it's a very different approach from what I'm taking, right? But obviously, you've spread the funds throughout the team, and like you've got balance everywhere. So you've got players you can think. I've gone in most of my drafts. I've had bench fodder, right, and gone hard, right. So it's a different approach. I can see the benefits of it. I mean, what do you think of Gordon? Because I think if Eze's out, Gordon is an option for me, and obviously you got to take it on the chin that he's not playing next game week, which is a bit of a shame. But do you like him long term? I mean, Barnes is injured, isn't he?
Yeah, that's it. So his Barnes is injured. Seems a little bit long term, but no, Gordon will probably be in. So his fixtures up until game week 12 look decent, and then after that, that'd be the latest I'd keep him. He'd be gone. I don't rate Gordon as a player that much. Yeah. He's just had a reasonable start to the season. Newcastle have some decent fixtures in spaces I needed to fill. He seems to be, from the stats of all the Newcastle midfielders, he's got the best stats. And he seems to be good at winning penalties, which Wilson generally puts in the back of the net. So
yeah.
I don't love it as a pick. If I'm honest, I don't love Billing as a pick, but they just filled a gap I needed them to for short-term punts until the Brighton and West Ham fixtures change.
Yeah, makes sense. There's so many ways we can take it. I've looking at it on the screen, like your draft and my draft. Like you can play around with one or two players, and it kind of gives almost like infinite options. Like, I mean, you could go like Son seems to be really obvious, but like we're discussing Maddison option. You could go to Maddison, save 1.5 mil, and then you're not too far from moving Gordon to like Bruno Fernandes for them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've got 1.1 in the bank. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like you downgrade a defender, then you got Bruno Fernandes and Maddison. It's kind of like happy days, right? So there's loads of ways you can take it, which is part of the fun, right? So
that's an interesting thought. What, like, if you marry the two up, Son and Gordon, Maddison and Bruno, it's like, well, clearly Maddison and Bruno would be the way to go.
Yeah, I think you probably have to make another sacrifice, wouldn't you? Because you got 1.1. Yeah. What Madison's 7.9, so you've got what 2.3, which brings
2.4.
out to so you're probably lacking 0.5, but you can find 0.5 easily. A Stupinan to Pau Torres. Well, you couldn't get him because you got free Villa already, but you could get in Kurt Zuma. Depends on your morals, right? But you get Kurt Zuma 4.5. You could get in
as a cat owner, Zuma can do one.
You could get in. There's loads of infinite possibilities. It's really interesting how you can kind of play around. That's because you got the flexibility in your lineup, which is nice. And like you seem to like you're a fan of Billing, so like you can still have Billing in your team.
I'm not,
so,
I'm not a fan of Billing at all. He's purely a punt for 3 weeks. But this brings me on to my next draft. So as much as I'm leaning to this one because I just like that all 15 players are going to play and I can kind of choose my formation based on the fixtures. This is draft 2. Now you'll probably prefer the midfield. The sacrifices I've made, I've got rid of Udogie as the second Tottenham defender and I bought in Bolly. Bolly still allows me to do a defensive rotation and probably play more of a 3-5-2, not really having the 4-4-2 option. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, playing a 3-5-2, no 4-4-2 option. But it still gives me that flexibility, which I like. But it brings in Maddison. So I get rid of both Billing and Gordon. I get in Nakamba, who plays for Luton. He's just going to sit on the bench. He's a 2 points every week, maybe a 1 point every week sort of player, but he's never going to leave the bench. But it gives me Maddison instead. What I don't like about it is the fifth midfield option is terrible and is never going to see the pitch. No offense to Nakamba if he's listening, but I'm never going to play it. It's less flexible in terms of the squad I can play. As I say, I'm just going to have to play a 3-5-2 week in, week out. And it leaves 0 money in the bank. So when I'm trying to get to a Brighton or West Ham player, which I know I'll want to, I'm selling Diaby. I'm probably going to end up having to sell a Maddison, and I'm not really going to want to do that with the Tottenham fixtures. So yeah, there is this as an option to bring in the better midfield. So do you feel like this is better than the first one?
No. Because you were saying you play 3-5-2. You play 4-4-2 though, wouldn't you? Really, with that, you're not because
sorry, 4-4-2. Absolutely, 4-4-2.
And like, I don't know if it's based on any logic, but like, I always want as many attackers as possible. Like go for a loaded midfield, go for a loaded attack, but don't go for a loaded defense. Like, especially this defense. Like, no offense, but it's not screaming out returns. I know Stupinan is good, but has suspect fixtures for a couple of them. Anderson has been on a great run, but will he sustain it? Probably not. Right. Porro I like, Cash I like, Bolly has got some okay fixtures. Yeah, I think I prefer the kind of previous one, to be honest. I mean, I don't think it's just the emphasis on having to play one of those defenders. The other team, it was nice because you had the option to rotate it with a midfielder and have a bit more flexibility. This, you're not playing Nakamba or Archer, are you ever? And that means you're playing one of Bolly or Anderson most game weeks, which you don't really want to be in that position.
No, I agree.
So yeah, I think I'm with you. I think I prefer the kind of highlighted some areas where I was like, I'm not sure about that kind of double midfield kind of option that you had in the previous one, but I think the other one slightly trumps this.
Yeah, but I take your point though here. So rather than focusing on Billing's next 3 fixtures, I could just get rid of Billing now and bring in Solly March, who I will want in 3 game weeks. But he's a better player than Billing. We've had that conversation. Who's better, Matoma or March? And March always comes out on top in terms of expected goals. He has also this season for minutes played. So I could just go with this one.
Yeah,
you turn into Matoma.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting getting Brighton players in early because I think it's probably rotation is more and more of a thing now, right? So you probably want to see a couple of more kind of game weeks and like a couple of European kind of games as well to see is Matoma really playing every game week. But I think he's the one. But yeah, I think on
Gordon into Matoma.
Yeah,
so I could do it. I just don't like. Yeah,
you're booking in transfers as well, which is never great.
Yeah, talk to me about that because I did think that. It's like if I put this team together, I'm looking at Billing and Gordon, and already I'm thinking to myself, in 3 weeks I need to move them on. So booking the transfer. Why don't you like doing it?
Or just anything can happen, right? We've seen it this year. Players are dropped for randomly. Players get suspensions. Players get injured. It's it's very rare. Like you got to have flex in your plan, which is nice. This team gives you some flex, but you're setting it up with like some very definitive things in mind, right? And it seems like you're quite set on it. So as long as you're cool, that you can have the flexibility, that's kind of like that's great. But yeah, with 1.1 in the bank and Gordon, you're not really playing him, and Billing, you're not really playing him. You could just have a better fourth midfielder that you can play, and then get someone who's got some good game weeks or mixed game weeks for the next couple. And then, hey, if they're doing well, you can keep them. If they're not doing well, then you can move to the Brighton play. But you got the flexibility. You seem really set on you want to move Billing or Gordon to that player. So I think that's the thing I'd be thinking about. Is it better just to bite the bullet now and just have a better player?
Yeah.
I don't know who that player is, and we'll come up with the suggestion, right? But like,
No,
I mean,
yeah.
that's
Well, I'll
because
tell
they're
you.
going to get really,
I'll tell you who
it'll
it'll
get
be.
really annoying really soon. Billing and Gordon,
Yeah.
you'll soon hate that in your team.
Yeah, I'll look at them
And
and go,
it's not giving
it's I haven't got Billing.
spreading funds as well. I don't think it's always a good approach, right? Because when you want to make moves, having like a player who's a bit of a cash cow and you can downgrade in one move is kind of quite convenient. Like, I mean, you can move these guys to a small selection of players, right, in one move, right? But they're cheap players, so they're cheap, but not cheap enough.
Yeah.
So I think it. I don't know the point I'm getting to. I'm not a huge fan of that kind of Billing and Gordon approach, because like Billing is a 1 game week punt. Gordon comes in, you don't like him too much, and then game week 10, one of them goes, but you don't know which one. But Billing, if he's the one you want to move on, you've got 1.1 in. You can just about afford Ward-Prowse. He might have a price rise before then. Like, yeah.
Seems a better choice potentially. As I say, I'm thinking of those fixtures a lot, and yeah, I mean, I think you've told me this before. Don't overthink it. Just like look at the squad.
Well, you did it. You did overthink last time. Got you a cash in, right? So
it did get me a cash in. It did. It worked for me.
That's why you're at the heights of like 2.6 mil, and I'm down in the depths of 5 mil. So
I was very happy to see in both your drafts, Matty Cash is there. So thank you for bringing in the main man. Get on the cash train.
Is he a rotation risk though? That seriously, is he generally nailed?
Yeah. He hasn't been. Yeah, he's not been. He started every game, so until he stops. Tell you what, you look in Europe when they play in Europe on Thursday. See if he starts. If he does, then question it. If he doesn't, he's guaranteed a Premier League game.
That would be interesting, right? Like Diaby, is he fit as well? Like he's yellow flagged, isn't he? So like, yeah,
he is. But I've read something. It might have been from Emre. Emre came out and basically said Diaby's just he'll be fine. Basically, was the words. So he should be okay. But yeah, I know what you're getting at. I tried to do that a little bit here in terms of like, as I know Billing and Gordon, I don't want them, so that's what I tried to do here, bringing in Maddison. But it might be maybe more sense to keep Udogie instead of Bolly, and then see who else I can get with that Maddison money. But then that's forced me back down to a 4-4-2 route, but with better defense options, I guess. But Udogie over Bolly. I don't know. I'll play around with it, but I appreciate the guidance. But that
it's hard doing these things because like it's hard because like you almost like force your own opinion, saying make it more like my team. It's a lot. It's how these debates can seem, but I mean, like you got a preference to spread the funds, right? So I think I kind of like appreciate and kind of rate that. I mean, I think the previous team is superior to this one.
Yeah. But at the same
Yeah,
time, as much as I've got a way of playing, and I'm never, we've said this all the way through. I'll never copy your team. That's not what this is about. But it's about understanding how you think differently to somebody at my level, which is why you finish in the 10,000, like top 10,000, usually without even thinking about it. Whereas I'm grafting to finish in the top 100,000. I'd be stupid also not to take the advice. I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to go away now and make my team this team that's on the screen match draft one. But I'd be silly not to take the what you're saying and do something with it, but my own thing with it, if you know what I mean.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But we're not too far, anyways. We're playing around the edges, so really, those things that we said like earlier on in our chat, right? Pick the decent teams with good fixtures, and like you've done that. Like your drafts are triple Spurs, triple Villa, just the one Liverpool. Like it's a bit underrepresented there,
Yeah.
but I know they're kind of pretty pricey. And then you've got some good players elsewhere. You've got Haaland and whatnot. So, yeah. But like, I mean, if you want to be making some kind of like money to free up a better midfield, there's loads of options, right? You can kind of you can go down to a really cheap defender and just accept that this person's going to sit on my bench a lot of the time. If they come in, I'll get 1 or 2 points, happy days. But like, just kind of accept that. You got rotating keepers as well. You could be forming a view, hey, I'll save that money and kind of not have rotating keepers. I'll just go in with a one and done, bit more a risky decision. And play around the edges, you can save. So, I mean, if you really want to upgrade one of those midfielders, I think you can do that. And you can probably get up to a really good midfielder as well without too much detriment.
Yeah, to the rest. Yeah, plenty to think about. My team will look nothing like this come deadline. It's like completely different.
Like Watkins will get injured on Thursday night, won't he? That'll be.
Yeah.
But then
That's
then
it
Nunes
with all the Europe.
Nunes becomes the template then. But like, yeah, it's we've been a bit early, aren't we? Like obviously today already as a potentially out as kind of will change a lot of my drafts. And like I think I've got probably about 10 different options now like running through my mind based on what we were discussing just now. So yeah, nothing's really locked, but I think we got the fundamentals of the teams we're targeting and the shape, right?
And 10 basically in 5 maybe play around. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm glad we decided we best not do all of our usual tasks because we'd have been here for 3 hours. But the big bulk of today was all about wildcard discussion. So, yeah, kind of seeing the difference between how you do and yeah, that's helped me. That's helped me a lot. Hopefully, it's helped you also, the listener. Thank you for joining us. But first, Matt, thank you for your time. I wish you the best of luck with the rest of the week and building your squad ready for the deadline.
Yeah,
you're going to be spending like when you're doing this wildcard. Do you tinker with it every day, or will you now just leave it until the European games?
I think I'm going to sit on it and wait until I'll wait until Friday morning. I've got a good view of like the fundamentals of the teams I'm going to target and fixture swings and whatnot. And yeah, I think there's a few things around the edges. I think big decision for me obviously is Darwin or not. Like I think that does. I was kind of interested in Diaz now, kind of like we kind of mentioned him, and I do think he's more nailed on. He could have some interesting stats. The lack of Haaland in that team looked good, like a really good team. But I've got to reform a view of, is Trent going to be what he was like 2 years ago? Or was he going to be more similar to last year? And like kind of what's Liverpool's defense like? So yeah, lots of things running through my mind, but I'm probably just going to be chill for a little bit. Keep an eye on price changes and make some random moves like to kind of catch them or defend myself from them. And yeah, probably revisit it Friday. But like, yeah, it's going to be fun. Like, good luck to everyone. Good luck to you as well. I mean,
thank you very much.
Big decision. You've gone from Bruno Fernandes, Mbeumo, and Rashford to Billing and Gordon.
They have also gone for Son and Salah, so it depends how you want to play that. Because I've also got the big 2 hitters.
No, sorry, mate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sounds
I
funnier if
mean,
you say Billing and Gordon.
I'm taking the piss.
It's a great move. We had about. To be fair, Billing and Gordon have probably outscored Rashford this season.
They've
If
outsourced
I've talked
Sterling for
you in,
sure. They've done better than
yeah.
Sterling. We should have got him in
So,
rather than like Sterling, like in gone for Billing. But yeah,
if I've
good luck
ended
for
up
it, mate.
talking you into Yeah, if I've talked you into Diaz over Nunes, I apologise if Nunes starts banging in hat tricks. But yeah, but no, thank you for joining us, and to you, the listener as well. Thank you for joining. Whether you're watching us on YouTube, whether you're listening to us on Spotify, thank you very much. As I say, we're on 200 subscribers now on YouTube. Please do, if you're not liking or subscribing, please do it. It does help us out. If you'd learned something from us, it'll just help other people find us as well. We'd very much appreciate it. But otherwise, we will see you next week. We will see how our teams shape up, how our wildcard team get on with their first game week of the season and into the international break. So no doubt we'll do what we did last time, Matt. We'll do a review of the one game week in week 1, and then the second week of the game week we'll look ahead at game week 9. But plenty of players to play for next game week with the wildcard teams before then. But once again, thank you for your time, and no doubt we'll speak soon. All the best.